definitely pretty punchy. So here we are, sat on a Zero Motorcycles DS, and we use these traffic lights to show something that I think you're going to find as surprising as I did. It's really fast and so very silent. Aside from the complete lack of noise, the weirdest thing that I'm experiencing right now is just the fact that it's completely smooth. There's no vibrations from the engine because there is no engine, which on this, the DS model, DS for Dual Sport, in case you hadn't already guessed, thanks to the snazzy plastical fairings and trims and whatnot that it has. But this model has a 54 horsepower air-cooled electric motor, which stuffs out an astonishing 92 newton meters of torque. And all of this through an instantly available direct drive clutchless transmission, which then drives everything through that carbon fibre belt that you see at the back there. And it's really light. The curb weight on one of these is about 190 kilograms, and you really notice it. God, the drive is there instantly, and the throttle response is really good. It's really well tuned. It's not snatchy or aggressive. It's really accessible and kind of inoffensive at the start, and then it piles on the power. Look at that. Electrotechnic. I want a piece of Electrotechnic, mate. Get in front of this guy, because he's old and he'll probably be really slow. He's chewing his teeth at me right now. Oh, these newfangled electro gadgets, I just can't keep up with them. So eerie. And then so punchy. Traffic lights, traffic lights, traffic lights. Oh, it does sound just like something from Great Northern Railway, doesn't it? Oh, the smoothness is ridiculous. I have to say, I do miss blipping the throttle. I want to give it a bump, but can't do that. It's just a little bit too easy to break the speed limit because, I don't know, it seems like the sensation of speed is taken away a little bit because of the fact there's no noise. This feels like they should put a little headphone socket or something in there so you can plug a pair of headphones in and get some noise in your helmet, even though the rest of the world can't hear it. Because of course there is a smartphone app for this bike. You can connect your phone, iPhone or Android, all other platforms can get stuffed, and then you can choose things like you can set a maximum speed limiter and you can set a more ecological driving mode. So why not also have in there play exhaust sounds through your Bluetooth headset? I think you've missed a trick there, Zero. I have just been indicating for the last mile. It's not clever, don't do it, kids, but it does highlight the fact that the brake lines and this whatever the other one is, I'm guessing that's the speedo cable, they go right over the top of all of the lights there, so you can't see any of them. There you go. The indicator light's under there, so if there's nobody behind me, I give it a flash. See, there you can see it. But when the stainless steel brake lines are over it, nothing. Now, the seat is very, very firm, as is the suspension on this thing. It's really solid. I'm feeling every single bump. But it has Showa forks and a Showa rear coil-over shock. And I'm told that the front and rear suspension is fully adjustable, so I imagine you can dial that a little bit softer if you wanted to your taste. To be honest, I do kind of prefer a slightly firmer ride. That's what she said. It feels quite rough when you're coasting to a stop. I imagine that's because the motor, as you are coasting, it uses regenerative braking to put power back into the batteries to try and increase your range by an extra 3 or 4 inches. Although very surprisingly, this bike has completely standard 55-watt halogen light bulbs, which seems a bit crazy to me. In the world of LED lighting technology, it just seems a bit of a missed opportunity again to me that you're not making the bike as efficient as possible. When you give it a twist like that, it kind of sounds like the Tauntauns out of Star Wars. You probably can't hear that. Oh, I prefer a bob, but that's quite funny in itself. Hello. Skin specialist, but she's got a polar bear out the front. It's not a great advert, is it? Right, somehow I'm back in Hamburg again. I just want to find some countryside. Choose a lane, love. And because it's so light, it's quite easy to balance, considering I don't know this bike, and also there's no gyroscopic action of motor parts spinning around inside, which I find helps to keep the bike upright. I'm pretty sure that's why they say in slow manoeuvring to keep your revs up, because the engine balances the bike for you. There's none of that in this, yet it's still pretty easy to balance. I mean, I'm guessing the battery is very central, probably as low as possible. It makes that balancing easy. And also, the fact that this bike weighs 190 kilos versus the 230 or so of my Versus, that's a pretty fair weight saving. Now, although this is a beautiful sunny day, it's not quite as warm as it looks. It's about 15 degrees, I think. And this bike has absolutely no screen. I've got no idea what screen options are available, but I'm getting a fresh, bracing breeze in my chest. And of course, it is worth remembering, I keep going to shift down, but look, there is no shifter. But anyway, if you were to get a bike like this with the intention of using it year round, you probably would want to think twice about fitting heated grips to this, because as soon as you stick energy sapping heated elements around the end of your bars, you're going to be sucking the juice out of your battery faster than a kid with a pineapple Capri Sun. Oh, it pulls from any speed. That is fantastic. So we're doing 85 now. Power! That's 120, just like that. That's kilometers per hour, by the way, so that was 50 up to 70, 75. It's got this weird little storage thing here, because obviously there is no fuel tank. And it's kind of dancing around in the wind like a saucy little break-dancing turtle nestling betwixt my knees. We'll have a closer look at that in a minute. The storage thing, not betwixt my knees. Responds well to a red light skipping squirt. Okay, so while we're in this boring following the traffic section, bells and whistles, what have we got? To be honest, not a great deal. There's the usual stuff. Headlights, I mean, they're pretty standard nowadays. Horn, yep, that's a legal requirement. There's no cruise control. There's no heated grips. You can, pretty much I think actually the only bell/whistle that it has is that you can change the mode. There's a button here, it says mode on it, which means you can change it from Sport, which I've been on up to now, Eco, which I'm guessing means that the battery lasts for longer, and Custom, which I'm told just puts you smack bang in the middle of both of those. But I'm hoping with a name like Custom, you could probably customize it a little bit. Let's try, we've been on Sport so far, let's go for Eco and see if that actually affects the performance too much. It's a lot softer on the acceleration, actually. The urgency has gone. I mean, there's still, it's still pretty urgent, but not quite so aggressively so. What are you doing, bud? Oh, that is a girly horn. Yep. Pulls hard even uphill. Press with that. Still indicating. Well done, Andy. That is really rubbish, that is. That cable's right across the display. Right, I want to go the other way, so quick U-turn. Yep, it U-turns. That was a success. Right, let's pull over in this little square. It's a little bit more public than I would normally like, but let's have a look. Bits and bobs. Proddy bits. I just tried to blip the throttle then, that was almost disastrous. Flipper test ride ending wheelie as I'm trying to pull over. Let's have a look. So there it is, it does look really odd. Kind of looks like a little Supermoto, but with some kind of server PC stashed away in its innards. I mean, they've done a pretty good job of hiding it with some plastic nonsense, but it's definitely not a normal motorbike, is it? Quite like the looks of it though. Looks aggressive, looks a little bit toy-like if you ask me. The plastics do look very plasticky. I mean, the flashes of orange help, but the black plastic here in the direct sunlight, you can see how much lighter and cheaper it looks than the actual black of the aluminium frame. This one, strange choice I think. It's got knobbly tyres. They're Pirelli MT60s, but considering this is a road spec bike, I find it quite strange that it's got knobbly tyres. There's the carbon fibre belt drive, which apparently is completely maintenance free, although you do have to tension it obviously as it wears, but still, apparently it's a lot easier to maintain than a chain. There's the motor in there. All of this happens, all of this magic, all of this grunt, all of this torque comes from that. Isn't that incredible? Air-cooled electric motor. About the size of a medium saucepan. Nuts. Nice big, brightly coloured Showa monoshock in the back there. It's got Showa upside-down forks at the front as well. Upside-down forks, of course, increase stiffness and decrease unsprung weight at the front end. Although the oddest thing, I mean, I haven't really cranked on the brakes just yet, but the front has only one disc. It's a massive disc, but only the one disc. As I said, standard halogen light bulb in the front. It's an H4, so it's actually a 5560, not a 55, like I said earlier on. And halogen indicator bulbs as well. That's a wasted opportunity, isn't it? Okay, so here's the weird storagey thing. Bloody hell, it's really deep. Look at that. Almost up to my elbows in there. It does actually pop out. And there's a little lock on it as well. You can actually, of course, opt to have an extra battery stuck in there for increased capacity, but you lose that storage as well. Horrible, nasty zip. Should we go?
Electric?
Yeah. And then we try and get inside the seat, don't I? But I don't know if you can on this. Oh, look at that. There's the socket to plug in a petrol cable so you can charge it. Thank you. He told me to have a good fart. I'm guessing you can't get into the seat. I can't find any way to get in, and these great big fins here tell me that there's something under there that needs a hell of a lot of cooling. I imagine the flux capacitor is hidden under there. So we'd mounting points on here for extra stuff. Probably engine bars or more batteries, I would imagine. Laser beams, photon torpedoes, oh go! That's that. I don't know, there's not really much I can say about it, to be honest. It's quite basic in terms of equipment. Not exactly setting a fire in my loins, it has to be said, but, you know, each to their own. Let's get back on it then. Oh, I went to change gear and there's no gear there. So we're still in eco mode, but sadly we're not in eco mood, so switch that up, I think. Hit the mode button, custom, sport, and let's have it. That's more like it. Sneak to the front. War factor 9, engage. So very impressive. I really want to blip it. I just want to brap it. It feels like a supermoto, so it feels like it should have a big brappy can on the back, but there's just nothing. Look, nothing. It just wants to lurch forward. I'm not sure if I could get used to that. I enjoy the noise of a motorbike. I enjoy the thrill of charging away at the lights as well, and switching gear, and just a continuous one gear kind of takes that away a little bit for me. The riding position is really nice, really comfortable. Handlebars are nice and wide and flat. They're a motocross style tapered design. I'm sitting upright, I'm comfortable, I'm neutral. I've got a good commanding view of the road ahead because I'm in a nice upright stance. Very flickable in the traffic, that's for damn sure. And I'm thinking this is really what this thing is designed for mostly, is city riding, isn't it? We saw it stonk up to 120 with no trouble at all, so it can do motorways, and if I could have found some, I'm sure it could have done country roads as well. But the city's where it's really at home because it's light, it's fast. It's very, very nippy. And the seat, despite its firmness, my derriere is not showing any real signs of fatigue. Seat is a bit narrow though. Feel the edges of it with my delicate bottom feeling receptors. Now the mirrors, usual complaint with mirrors is they shed loads of vibration, but obviously with this the only vibration is coming from the road. So there's none on the mirrors, they're crystal clear. Although they are a bit weird because they're mounted quite narrowly into the middle of the bike. So although I can see really clearly behind me because they're really long, this much of the mirror is taken up by my own arms. Seems a little bit like a waste of mirror space. I've just noticed actually it's got a power and a torque gauge on the dashboard. That's pretty cool. Now, a few of the impressive things about this bike, if you believe the marketing gumph they give you, these bikes actually cost 1 cent, 1 euro cent per kilometre of travel. I'm pretty sure that is just with the fuel, so ignoring everything else. Which, if you bear in mind, I did some quick maths, and my 650 Versys returns about 8 cents per kilometre. So this is 8 times cheaper to run in terms of fuel costs. That's pretty impressive. Now, the battery that you get in the bike, it will apparently last for 500,000 kilometres or thereabouts. And the bike itself comes with a 2-year guarantee, but the battery comes with a 5-year guarantee. What happens once that battery's dead, I don't know. No idea how expensive it is to buy a new one, but 500,000 kilometres, that's pretty far, so I haven't ever seen a motorbike that's gone further than that. I think everything else will be dead before that. The rest of the information on the dash here, it's all pretty well laid out. It's very simple, quite a cheap LCD. There's nothing particularly fancy about it, although that said, it is very clear. But there's a clock in the top left, a battery life manometer on the far left there. I've got 73% with a number and a little display. Dead center's my speed. Top right is the mode. Underneath that we've got range, currently at 177 kilometers, and then life average, 56 watt hours per kilometer. I'm guessing that's like a electrical equivalent to fuel economy. I suppose you'd have to get your noggin around what that actually means if you had one of these. I do worry that it's very quiet. I mean, the argument rages ever on about whether loud pipes do actually save lives, but I personally have looked when I've heard the noise of a lousy? Oh dear. When I've heard the sound of a noisy pipe. Often before I've heard the bike, when I'm in a car, I mean. So I think there's some truth to it. It's a little bit unsettling that the engine tone just continues to rise up and up and up and up. It just, you get this overwhelming desire to change gear, but you haven't got any gears. What else have I missed? It takes approximately 9 hours to charge it from flat to completely full, but you can also buy things like a expanded capacity battery, which, as I said, goes in this little hole here. You can also buy fast charger accessories. You can stick on extra chargers to speed up the charging process, and you can even get a special battery pack which is already fully equipped for fast charging, I think. Now, despite the quite frankly breathtaking performance, you do only need an A2 license to ride it. Oh, these bikes do have ABS. Traction control I've got no idea about. Well, I'm just about back at the dealership now, going to pick up the next one. Click the link on the screen to see the test ride of that, the SR, the high-powered version of this bike. But before I do that, what do I think of it? Oh, this is a wasted opportunity, isn't it? Completely wasted. Look, nothing. Oh, cool! The backlight on the dials there when you're out of the sunlight. That's quite cool, isn't it? Didn't know it was like that. I thought that was clever photography on the website. But yes, what do I think? I like it. I really like it. It's really good fun. The power is really impressive. Thus, look, everybody's just left in my non-smoke. I really like the idea of getting home every day after my ride home from work, plugging it in, and never having to go to a petrol station ever again. That fills me with excitement. But at the same time, this machine would cost you somewhere in the region of 15,000 euros, which is not cheap. I think, like a lot of the bikes I've test ridden, if money was no object, I would smash the money down in a second, because as another option, this would be fantastic for me. But as my only bike, it's a very different question. But I do love the noise of a bike. I love the thrill of a bike. I love the engine. I mean, a lot of all of these things, you could argue that one day they're all going to have to be things of the past once all the dinosaur juice is gone. But till then, I'm not sure electric bike would be for me because of things like my Euro tour on a bike like this. It couldn't have happened because I would have needed to stop and charge for 9 hours every 230 kilometers or so, because that, I don't know if I mentioned, that's the range of this bike, 230 kilometers. So, ladies and gentlemen, in Duncan Bannatyne style, I like your bike, I like the torque, I like the engine, but I don't like the batteries. For that reason, I'm out.